Standing in the fire, just to feel alive. Faith and desire.
So I had a client prior to them working with me had a huge issue because she didn't follow some of the steps that I talk about, right? So she did all the initial steps correctly in terms of setting up her order, but once she set up her order, she basically went on vacation. And 20 days later, she comes back to the factory, and the factory's like, yes, your production's ready. Please send your QC team. And she hires a QC company. The QC company goes there and finds that 80% of her products, very simple product, was a coffee accessory. Can't go into too many details, but very simple product. 80% of them had the exact same problem, which means this is something that they could have caught early on in the production. However, she was on vacation, right? So you don't want to just disappear and ghost from your factory, and then also you want to follow some of the steps that I'm about to talk about. So when I'm talking about ongoing management, it's important for you to be in constant communication with your supplier and be on top of all the different steps of the production and follow up on all those things. The second thing is, when it comes to communication, a lot of people don't know this, but in China, email is not the most common form of constant communication. Like, email is mostly to deal with important contracts or sort of important updates on production or confirmations and things like that. Most of the day-to-day communication within a business or within businesses is between WeChat and QQ. So you have to download those applications so that you can be constantly communicating with your supplier. I mean, for example, if you send an email at 6 a.m. in East Coast time, that's 6 p.m. in China, they're not going to respond. But if you had WeChat, you send a message on WeChat and you want a quick update or a quick picture, the person that you're dealing with, your sales rep, might still be able to reply and answer some of the questions that you have. So then the next thing is, you want to work within the system of the factory and understand how they operate, what the operation structure is. Are you dealing with a sales rep? Are you dealing with a sales manager? Because if you're dealing with a sales manager, it's quicker to get things done. It's quicker to get confirmations. It's quicker to get changes done and things like that, and certain information. Like, if you're dealing with a sales rep, like in a normal business, there's a chain of command. Sales rep has to talk to the sales manager and then maybe get some information, or sales rep has to talk to a sales manager who has to talk to another manager. So there's just going to be all those steps. So you want to understand those kind of things. And then also, for example, if you're making samples with the factory, you want to test, let's say, the production quality, right? So you're saying, let's do 20 samples with the factory and see if this is going to be production level. You need to know from the supplier, is 20 samples actually something that they're going to make on their production line, or is this something that they're going to make by hand? Because a handmade sample versus a production line sample is going to be very different, right? So those are things that you want to understand about the operations of your supplier. The fourth thing is, don't blame them. Never blame your supplier. Most of the time, to be honest, when things happen, it's because buyers aren't following the correct steps during production. Most quality issues can be prevented. But even if it's a blatantly obvious issue that you think shouldn't have happened, the worst thing you can do is to get angry and get emotional with your supplier and start blaming them, because they will shut down. That is not how business is done in China. You want to focus on solutions and not blaming, right? Blaming is not going to get you anywhere. So you want to focus on solutions and working with your factory, putting in checks and balances to prevent quality issues. For example, when I talked about the client, instead of going on vacation, she could have had a 10% spot check during production to catch this product issue very early. Because if she had checked, let's say, 100 units within the first 10 days of production, she would have seen that 80 of them had the same problem, and then they could have fixed it before there's 1,000 completed, right? So there's things that you can do to prevent quality issues.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for watching the video. Rico here, CEO of SourceFind Asia. If you like this video, you like this kind of content, you can check out more our Made in China podcast. Go to sourcefindasia.com/madeinchina and hit the share button.